Hey guys, it's Emily Winters here. This is what my voice sounds like, and I really don't have any kind of intro, so whoop-de-doop, let's just get right into it. What is your favorite book and why? So I've thought a lot about this one. I'm gonna say Starflower. It's part of a series called Tales of Goldstone Wood, and every book is so good. They just keep getting better. So I'm gonna say Starflower because it sticks with me the most, but the whole series is so epic! Moving on, how did you first get into writing and drawing? Honestly, I can't remember a time when I wasn't doing either. Favorite musicians? Within Temptation, Sent by Ravens, Nightwish, We as Human, Sleeping at Last, Celtic Woman, Celtic Thunder, Thomas Bergerson, a lot of composers. I like a lot of music. Are you a morning person or a night person? I am a night person. If you could munch any food right now, what would you munch? Mashed potato. Top 5 songs at the moment. I have a very hard time picking top 40 songs at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. Anything by the people who I just mentioned, particularly if it's Within Temptation. Who is the best Disney princess? So, I've thought about this a lot. I've probably put an hour of thought into this, and it's basically a toss-up between two people. Rapunzel's lack of worldliness isn't born of being gullible or unintelligent, unlike certain other princesses. She's repeatedly shown to be quite smart, and honestly, Gothel probably didn't teach her things like pottery and whatever else she can do, which means that Rapunzel genuinely wanted to learn. She probably taught herself how to do a lot of these things. Like chess, I just don't see Gothel being happy to play a game of chess with Rapunzel. I don't know. On the other hand, we have Moana. Now, Moana was not a brat, despite being an only child and a princess. Some people might want to call her a brat, I have no idea. I just don't see it in her being a bit of a brat myself. I don't see bratty tendencies in her. And she understands what leadership is about. She successfully set aside her own passion for the sake of shepherding her village, and then pursued that passion when it was needed. Also, she's fairly selfless, which I think is kind of rare in movies these days. Pretty smart, and extremely resilient. What is your opinion on avocados? What's one really idealistic goal you'd love to achieve? Honestly, I would love it if the main series that I'm writing with my best friend gets published and turned into a TV show, and she and I could star as Mira and Sinatra. That might sound kind of egotistical, but Sinatra is how I process a lot of the feelings that I feel, how I understand myself, how I find the problems in my own personality. For example, the aforementioned brattiness that sometimes shows up. She's how I learn about who I am. And I just don't think that anyone else could pull off who Sinatra really is. Which fictional character did you most look up to? Alright, this kind of depends on what age you're asking. So when I was little, I would kind of idealize characters, so I looked up to who I thought they were rather than who they actually were. So I'd say that I looked up to Sonic and Tails, or rather what I thought they were, as well as Simba. One that definitely still applies is Aslan. Also, there are a few from Warrior Cats. Firestar, Thornclaw, Sandstorm, Bluestar, Leafpool, Ivypool, Cinderheart, Cinderpelt, Tawny Pelt, Misty Star, Holly Leaf, Spotted Leaf, basically any competent kicktail female with a sassy streak. The only one of these who I don't still love is Thornclaw because he can be kind of a serious jerk sometimes. A lot of times. Also, I really loved Astrid in the first movie, And then in the second and third movie, they took away everything about her that I loved, and I'm still salty! I also really love Sheik, Zelda, Tetra, Link, of course, but more than them, I love Midna. Midna is epic. I wouldn't say I look up to her as in, like, I want to be exactly like her. I don't really look up to any character as, like, I want to be exactly like this person. But I definitely want to at least partially be like Midna, because she is the sassiest little person, and I love her. She is so great. What was your favorite memory as a child? Alright, I've got 2 stories for you. Both of them involve my best friend in physical pain. Does that make me a bad friend? Maybe. Anyway, here we go. So the first story is that... Shoot, what is... Oh, you're right, okay. When we were, I don't know, 7, 8, 6, somewhere around there, I have no idea. She was obsessed with role-playing these games where we were in a boarding school. I have never understood why the concept appealed to her, but I didn't really care. I was with my best friend. We were gonna play our game. Here we go. So the storyline that we had was our characters that we had come up with were twins who had gotten separated when they were, like, born, basically. They didn't know who each other were. They only knew that they had a twin. They recognized each other by these lockets that they had. And they wound up rooming together at this boarding school. And so one of us, I can't remember the details really. So we didn't actually have necklaces or lockets or anything, so we just kind of, like, we'd kind of trace the line of where it might be on our necks. And one of our characters saw the locket on the other character and was like, wait, that necklace, and then held up their own, and we were so in sync. We were so perfectly in sync. We looked at each other, our eyes went wide, our faces lit up, we yelled out, twin! We threw our arms out to the side to hug each other, and we were just a little bit too in sync because our heads decided to occupy the exact same space. So there was like a 90-mile-an-hour impact. And I am not kidding when I say that we laughed for over a minute. It was probably over 4 minutes of just continuous laughter. I think that we kind of knocked ourselves silly because we both felt a little lightheaded and I didn't feel any pain, which is not, there's no way that there was no pain. I'm pretty sure, like, we were both bruised after that, like, badly. So, throughout all the many years of friendship between me and my best friend, we literally grew up together. To this day, we're like, yeah, nope, that one time when we were 6 years old, hit heads, that is the epitome of our friendship. That is the crowning moment. So that's the first story. The second story is the one that was definitely, for a very long time running, my absolute favorite thing. This is another story from when we were, 6-ish. I had figured out how to get out of a certain hold, and honestly, I don't remember any of the details, except that your hands were held behind you somehow, and you whipped out of it really fast, and you had one arm out ready to hit your assailant. So I had figured this thing out. It probably wasn't efficient at all because I was a 6-year-old. I did not understand anything about physics and bodies and muscles and anything like that. It was probably like one of the worst ways to go about it. But it worked when the other person who was holding you was only as strong as you were. So I show this to my best friend, and we start to freak out because I just did something epic, she screams, do it again, that was so cool. The second time, I kind of spin a little bit too fast, and that arm that was out to hit your assailant, yeah, that went straight into her solar plexus. And she completely doubled up, arms wrapped around her stomach, and she goes, oh, I can't breathe, ow, oh, I can't breathe. And I actually couldn't breathe because of how hard I was laughing. So yeah, that was my Q&A. I would like to thank T, JD, Charcy, and Greedy for their questions, and wish everybody a safe and non-boring time during quarantine. Stay safe out there, guys. I love you, and maybe I'll do another one of these sometime. I don't know.